My name is Sarah, and I am 25 years old. 2 years ago, I got married to James, the man I believed was my soulmate. At that time, we were so happy. My husband loved me more than I could ever imagine. Every morning, he would bring me coffee just the way I liked it, leave little notes on the kitchen counter saying, "I love you," and hold my hand as if the world outside didn't exist. We were truly happy. Life felt perfect, and I thought nothing could ever come between us. James was everything I had ever dreamed of in a husband. He was caring, thoughtful, and attentive. He would listen to my stories even when he had a long day at work, laugh at my silly jokes, and surprise me with small gifts, not because he had to, but because he wanted to see me smile. Our home was filled with love, laughter, and warmth. I honestly believed that love like ours was forever. I trusted him with my heart completely. I had no doubts, no fears, just a quiet, steady happiness that came from knowing that someone truly cared for you. I would tell myself at night as I lay beside him that I was the luckiest woman alive. Then came my younger sister, Emily. Emily had always been close to me. We shared secrets, laughed together, and sometimes confided in each other in ways no one else could understand. She was beautiful, full of life, and had a charm that could draw people in instantly. I loved her dearly, but I never imagined that her presence could ever affect my marriage. At first, it was small, almost unnoticeable things. James would laugh a little too long at Emily's jokes or compliment her in ways that used to be only for me. I brushed it off, telling myself I was imagining things. "He loves me," I said over and over. He could never feel this way about Emily. But slowly, the signs became harder to ignore. James's attention began drifting away from me. The sweet gestures that once made me feel special, the notes, the hugs, the way he would look at me as if I were the only woman in the world, started fading. Instead, he seemed to save those smiles, those gestures, for Emily. My heart began to ache in ways I didn't understand. One evening, I couldn't keep silent anymore. We were sitting in the living room, and I watched him across the room as he laughed at something Emily said. My chest tightened and a knot formed in my stomach. I whispered, almost trembling, "James, is something wrong?" "You've been distant lately." He looked up at me, and I saw guilt in his eyes, mixed with a nervousness I had never seen before. "Sarah, I need to be honest with you," he said softly. His voice was hesitant, almost shaking. "My feelings, they've changed." I froze. "Changed?" I whispered, my heart sinking. "What do you mean? I love Emily," he admitted. The words hit me like a punch to the chest. My world crumbled instantly. The man who had promised me forever, who had made me feel like the most important person in his life, was telling me that his heart belonged to my sister. Tears streamed down my face. I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. My hands trembled as I gripped the sofa, trying to process the unimaginable truth. I felt betrayed, heartbroken, and completely lost. Emily, who had been unaware of this growing tension, noticed the silence and confusion between us. When I confronted her, asking if she knew, she froze. Her eyes widened, a mixture of shock and something else, something I didn't want to believe, flashed in them. I didn't want this, Sarah," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I never meant to hurt you." But even in her apology, I could sense a flicker of hope, a tiny spark that revealed her own feelings for James. My heart shattered further. Not only had I lost the love of my life, but it was now being taken by my own sister. The following days were unbearable. James tried to justify his feelings, to explain that he never meant to hurt me, but every word felt like another dagger in my chest. The house I had called home now felt like a prison, filled with memories of love that no longer existed. I would see him smile at Emily, hold her hand, and laugh at her jokes, and it was a pain unlike anything I had ever felt. I tried to talk to him, to make him see what he had destroyed, but he seemed distant, trapped in emotions that had nothing to do with me anymore. He was still polite, still caring in small ways, But the warmth, the passion, the love that had defined our marriage was gone. One night, I sat alone in my room, staring at the ceiling, and whispered to myself, how could he do this? How could the man I trusted more than anyone, the man I loved more than my own life, choose her over me? Days turned into weeks, and slowly I realized that holding on to James, to the man I loved, was only causing me more pain. I had to make a choice. For myself. I had to find a way to survive this heartbreak. I packed my things and moved into a small apartment, leaving behind the life I had built with James. I cried, I screamed, I mourned the love I had lost, but slowly I began to rebuild. I found comfort in my work, in my friends who stood by me, and in small moments of peace I had forgotten existed. James and Emily, now together, quickly realized that love built on betrayal is never simple. Their happiness was shadowed by guilt and by the memory of the woman James had loved first. The easy smiles, the playful gestures, they were tainted with a constant reminder of the pain they had caused. Meanwhile, I discovered a strength I didn't know I had. I realized that life does not end because someone betrays your heart. It only begins again, in a different form. I learned to laugh again, to trust myself, and to find joy in moments that were mine alone. Months later, as I stood by the window of my new apartment watching the sun set, I whispered to myself, I loved him with all my heart, and it hurt. But I am stronger now. I am not defined by his choice, nor by my heartbreak. I am Sarah, and I will live, laugh, and love again on my own terms. The story of Sarah, James, and Emily is a painful reminder that sometimes love is not enough. Sometimes hearts wander, and sometimes the people we trust the most are the ones who hurt us the deepest. But even in the darkest moments, there is hope. Even after betrayal, there is life. And sometimes the bravest thing we can do is let go and let ourselves heal. Sarah's journey was not just about heartbreak. It was about rediscovering herself. She learned that happiness is not given. It is created, nurtured, and fought for. She realized that the love she thought she had lost was actually the key to finding herself. James and Emily may have chosen each other, but Sarah chose something even greater: the freedom to be her own person, the courage to face life alone, and the strength to rise from the ashes of her broken heart. In the end, Sarah understood that love is not always about possession, but about acceptance, resilience, and the ability to move forward. She was no longer a victim of betrayal. She was a survivor, a woman who refused to let heartbreak define her, and a soul ready to embrace the future on her own terms.